Number one, what is happening is that we have actually drawn down the economic activities in this country, and the normal hours of work, the most productive hours, have been curtailed because there is no power. And these are people who cannot have an alternative energy. We cannot have alternative power because these are middle and small enterprises that cannot afford a genset, for instance. They cannot afford generation of alternative power, so they simply close down. And what does this mean to the economy? The economy slows down. The productivity rate in the country slows down. And this is the most important part of the economy because this is the economy that interacts with the people. This is the economy that actually every Zambian participates in. They are earning a living out of it. They earn their daily meal out of that economy. Therefore, you suffocate the Zambian people, whilst you leave room for foreigners who make billions of dollars from these mines. They've neglected their workers, they have put workers on forced leave, and they have only few people producing copper and selling it out and making money. And these are the people we are saving, unfortunately, who are seemingly showing the economy of this country to be better, and yet the Zambian people are suffering. So, in a nutshell, load shedding has actually affected the economic activities in the country, and they have dwarfed the economy itself. And in this sense, poverty has skyrocketed. When the New Dawn government came into power, they affected fuel, the economy started suffering, and poverty started setting in the country. And now, with this last nail on the coffin of load shedding, it makes the economy completely devastated. Many people will go into poverty, and this suffering very soon will create a revolt in the country. Look at how people are suffering, how people are expressing themselves. This is a time bomb for the New Dawn government. And the sooner they work on it, the better for them, because it will be very detrimental to their performance, and there will be much revolt in the country because people cannot go along with a government that tells them something else, and what is happening is different, and they are perpetually being subjected into poverty.
Mm. Let's look at the efforts or the measures which are being put in place by the government. One thing which is more like comforting the people of Zambia, and of course, which may also comfort you, speaking from you being a citizen, not a leader, a political leader, is that the executive or the government of President Hakainde Hichilema is equally concerned over these issues. And when stakeholders like you spoke against this issue of exporting power to other countries, his government just yesterday announced that they have suspended the exportation of power to other countries in order to cushion the challenges that we have today. I mean that is concerned.
First of all, before I can answer that question, let me take you back. This is a political party. Now they are in government. They spent 23 years in opposition. And during that time, they had time to plan how are they going to run this country. What are the areas where they are going to touch for them to develop this country. And they spent that time bickering, calling the government, the previous government, all kinds of names. They did not prepare. Now the people gave them the mandate, and they are in power, and they are stuck. All of a sudden, they want to summon a task force to look at the issues of ZESCO. What about in 2019 when the head of state, the opposition leader then, when he was saying that when I come into power, this thing will no longer exist? What were they doing all that time? Lack of planning. So now it makes it difficult for the Zambian people to actually believe that they are going to work on this because we have heard so many statements. I can give an example. There was a time when they came into power and they promised the Zambian people that they are going to create 3 state farms so that we can grow cannabis and direct billions of dollars because we want to export this as a cash crop. And Leadership Movement was the first actual opposition political party to commend the government for that direction. And we said, instead of having 3 state farms, can you replicate this in every district? Because production is essential. We want to be productive because it will be good for every Zambian. And what did we get after a period of time? Nothing. All talk, no action. That is typical of the New Dawn government. They are good at talking, very poor at action. So even that decision to make a task force, we wonder if it is going to deliver because they have a background of just talking and not doing anything. So Zambian people will not believe it until they see tangible changes, tangible results. For instance, if we hear that they have, for instance, suspended exportation of power, we should be seeing load shedding slowing down. We should reduce in the number of hours because it means that we have enough power that we should have been exporting. Now we are using it. If that doesn't change, it means that it is just all talk, no action. Remember, so many deals have been done by the New Dawn government, and yet Zambians have been left in the dark. In the case of IMF, for instance, there are so many deals that have been done. We don't even know about them. So even in this case, we might just be given a happy talk that, oh, they are working on this. They are going to ban to stop exportation of electricity, and yet it is going on. That is the biggest worry that the Zambian people have because of the track record of the New Dawn government. The New Dawn government doesn't have much credibility at the moment because of the track record of lies. It is very worrisome when you have a government in power that is identified by lies. Imagine you lie and lie and lie and lie whilst you are in government. It's very detrimental. And this erodes the credibility of leadership in the country. So we worry that nobody would believe the New Dawn government unless we see those actions translate into benefits to the Zambian people. Removal of load shedding, reduction in hours, and all that. If that is done, then we are going to say, then we are moving in the direction of eradicating the problems and reducing the pain on the Zambian people. Remember, every time we see certain decisions, we have always reminded the New Dawn government. Even in the case of fuel, they continued increasing the cost of fuel. We told them a government should be in power to reduce the pain, to push on the pain on the Zambian people so that they can thrive in production. Now they have increased on load shedding and they don't care about the Zambian people. And if we are to assess them in terms of how they prioritize the Zambian people, we see that they really fail lamentably. And this is why even on that position, on that decision, which is just hearsay for that matter, we have no tangible official statement that is highlighting that they have actually cancelled those contracts. We don't have that. Only hearsays. If we can see that and we see action translating into benefits to the Zambian people, then would be in the position to say they are doing something towards load shedding.
Combining the two things here, you talked about the high cost of fuel. In the last 1 year, I think there hasn't